Alright, last video I went over the heroes that could or couldn't survive The Walking Dead, and it sounded like you guys really enjoyed it. Thanks for all the love on that video. A part 2 will 100% be done for that. But before doing that, a glorious idea crossed my mind. The final season of The Boys is coming out soon, and so I thought to myself, which horror movies / horror villains would Homelander survive? You know, people like to shit on him, but he is bulletproof, has super strength, laser vision, and can fly, and a little bit of super speed. So, like it or not, he can hold shit down. So today I'm going to go over what horror villains he could or could not be. Also, this is just Homelander. He has no outside help from anyone from the Seven or anyone else. That's the only rule, so let's get started. 2018 Michael Myers. Gotta start off hot with the GOAT himself, Michael Myers, from the 2018 version. This Michael, I think, was more brutal from the 90s. He also took more damage while walking it off, and he could haul ass. But with that being said, he did take damage. Was low-key catching a fade from a damn grandma, bro. She was kind of beating his ass. At one point, he also got his fingers blown off, which never healed back, so I don't know what the big deal is with this guy. Seems like if you just got a pistol and shot him in the melon, he'd kick the can or just cut him up. You know, nobody ever makes sure he's really dead. I also don't know how people are actually thinking that Michael would have a sliver of a chance of doing anything to Homelander. Michael could catch Homelander at the worst time. He could be butt naked, sleeping, and he still wouldn't be able to do anything. Stab him, punch him, shoot him, bring a bazooka, none of that's gonna work. And as soon as Homelander sees Michael trying any of this, he just laser him in half, or rip him in half, or pick him up and send him to the moon. There is nothing Michael could do that could hurt Homelander. So yes, Homelander would survive Michael Myers. The demon from It Follows. Homelander's laid pipe a few times in the show, so let's just pretend here that Firecracker has the demon. For those of you that don't know, the demon is spread to others through, I think you can guess how. So Homelander would probably lay some pipe down on her, and then he would catch the demon disease. The demon is immortal, can only be seen by those who are infected, can take the form of anyone, and it just continuously hunts you down at a walking pace until it gets you and packs you up. But if you pass the demon on, it goes after that person until it gets them, then comes back down the line to you until it gets you, and then it goes after the person who got you. You get the point. Now the question is, would the demon be able to actually harm Homelander? I don't know, not for sure at least, because it never went after anyone who's bulletproof. But it is a demon, I would assume it could pretzel up just about anyone it comes across, bulletproof or not. But even if it couldn't kill Homelander for whatever reason, I would imagine that after Homelander realizes that even after he kills it, it's just gonna come back and bother him every day for the rest of his life. Eventually, he'd probably just fly into the sun and call it a day. His mental health is already not so great, so this would probably push him over the edge. One solution he might be able to come up with would be to cage it up and hope that it holds it, but the movie's kind of unclear whether or not it could break out of something like this or teleport out, you know what I mean? But it's probably worth a shot at least. He could also probably fly to the other side of the planet, and this thing would have to walk all the way over there, I think. I don't know, sometimes it just appears. So a good idea also would be for him to pass it on to Queen Maeve, who's also nearly invulnerable, so she'd have to deal with it. I don't know if that counts as outside help or not, but that's an option. Yeah, I don't know, this one's kind of tough. I'm not 100% sure he'd survive or die, so I'm going to go with the middle option here. So Homelander surviving the demon from It Follows is unknown. The 3 Ghostfaces from Scream 6. In Scream 6, instead of just 1 or 2 Ghostfaces, there are 3. Doesn't make a difference, but I had to mention that. I will also mention that the Ghostfaces from this film, I think, were some of the coolest. The scene where Ghostface attacks the girls at the bodega with a shotgun in public is one of my favorite scenes. But with that being said, they were low-key ass at killing the main characters. They got the jump on Jenna Ortega's character and fumbled the bag. Like, how do you mess this up? Jenna Ortega is 5'1". Fine as hell, though. They also stabbed this guy a cool 40 times at least, and he ended up surviving. There's also a cool scene where Ghostface attacks Gale. She actually kind of works him. He does eventually get her, but she ends up surviving too. I'm fairly confident I could survive this film simply by concealed carrying a piece when I'm out. It'd be that easy. So for Homelander, who would be unfazed by their knives, guns, and mind games, would be perfectly fine. Soon as he saw somebody lunge at him with a knife and a mask on, he'd just laser him in half. But just for the fun of it, let's pretend that the Ghostfaces are people that are close to him. Maybe Maeve, A-Train, and Butcher without V. Butcher gets packed up off rip, which leaves A-Train and Maeve. Now if they double team him, they might have a chance, but Homelander, who was barely trying, was able to hurt and hold off Maeve. So if he's trying, he should be able to handle her, even if she snuck up on him. And for A-Train, I don't think he could do enough to kill Homelander. Even with his speed, he might not be strong enough to hurt him. So even in this situation, I think Homelander would survive. People forget that he survived a 3v1 against souped up Butcher and Huey and the second strongest soup Soldier Boy. So yes, Homelander would survive Scream 6. World War Z zombies. The zombies from World War Z were some of the most insane zombies in a movie or show. They were those zombies where if that shit was real life, you'd be fucked. But for Homelander, who's nearly invulnerable, they wouldn't be much of a problem. The zombies get you mainly by charging at you or using strength in numbers to get you. They'll pile up on top of each other or dive off a roof to try to spear you even if it ends up packing them up. But since Homelander's skin is so dense, they wouldn't be able to break his skin to infect him, so he'd be good there. But you might be thinking, maybe when he lasers them, he might get their blood in his face or mouth, which could infect him. But that wouldn't be the case considering in the stairway scene, Brad Pitt's character was fighting one of them off and his blood got into his mouth, so he ran up to the roof, thought he was going to be infected, but he ended up being fine. So it must just spread by scratch or bite. So Homelander should be chilling. There's really no situation where he'd get packed up here. They can't turn him while he's sleeping or catch him off guard. If they pile up somewhere, he could just laser them all dead. You know, people like to shit on him, but he's more powerful than most people's favorite superhero. He's just a psychotic killer, so people hate him, which is valid. But that doesn't mean he's weak. And honestly, unfortunately, this apocalypse might be good for Homelander because since he has such a deep desire to be loved and praised, he might just fly city to city and clear out most of the zombies all on his own just to be looked at as a hero, which would inflate his ego even more, which would be bad for the world. But yes, I do believe Homelander would survive World War Z. The Thing. The alien from The Thing is able to infect others by coming into contact with them and breaking down their cells while replacing it with its alien cells. And once they've done that, it can imitate anything that it's replaced perfectly. It did it to a dog and most of the humans there. Its cells also work independently, so like if you stabbed it and it bled and then burned it, that blood could bounce out of there and infect someone else. But would it be able to infect Homelander? I doubt it. Going off what the movie shows us, it has to be able to hold whatever it's assimilating down, and it has to be able to break down its cells in that time. Homelander's kind of a tank, so holding him down isn't going to happen, and breaking down his cells might be impossible for the alien to do. Another thing to keep in mind, the Thing is weak to high heat, and Homelander's main way of killing is using his lasers. He also has enhanced senses, which would come in clutch if there's a situation where Homelander's trying to figure out who's human or not, and he could listen to their heartbeat to figure out who's lying. If the Thing was able to infect another soup and gain its powers, it could have a chance, but any soup that could hurt Homelander would probably be durable enough and have strong enough cells to fight back against the alien. So I doubt even that would work. You know, worst case scenario, he just lasers everybody in paranoia, which I wouldn't put it past him. So I do believe Homelander would survive the Thing. Freddy Krueger. Homelander does sleep, so he'd be vulnerable to Freddy in the dream world, but could Freddy hurt Homelander in the dream world despite his durability? I think so. Homelander off rip wouldn't be scared of Freddy because he knows he's the most powerful soup, but after he lasers him dead a few times and watches as Freddy just heals himself back and starts mocking him, he might start to shit his pants. Then he might try to fly away, which would also do nothing as Freddy has full control over the dream world and can warp reality to make it however he wants. But now here's the question. When Freddy hurts Homelander in the dream world, would it actually affect his invulnerable body in the real world? I don't know. If he stabs Homelander, it could hurt him while he's sleeping, but I don't know if that would translate to his real body like it does to regular people. It could, but I'm not 100% sure. But what I am sure of is that Homelander wouldn't be able to kill Freddy. So this could just be an ongoing cycle for nights on end until Freddy figures something out, like maybe he'd become Soldier Boy and blast Homelander to fry the V out of his system in the dream world, which could depower him in the real world. Then he could pack him up. Or maybe drown him. I don't know if that'd work, but he could try it. Either way, I think Freddy eventually gets him, so I think Homelander would not survive Freddy Krueger. 2009 Jason Voorhees. I personally prefer this Jason because he's the scariest one to me. He was fairly intelligent. He had like traps and shit set up around camp, and he could also absolutely haul ass and was just a unit of a man. That being said, this Jason, similar to how Jason was before Tommy Jarvis resurrected him into Zombie Jason, was kind of just like a regular dude, apart from having some obvious increased strength. He's not immortal, he's not going to regenerate. Well, fuck, maybe. I just remembered he comes back at the end of the film. Could be a dream sequence, but I don't know. That changes nothing. Let's say Homelander pulls up to Camp Crystal Lake to clear his mind one night. Jason would probably sneak up on him while he's sleeping and try to cut him up. That's not going to do shit. Homelander would then proceed to rip him in half or laser him into pieces, and Jason's done. But maybe you're thinking, oh, he might come back though. I really doubt that, but it is Jason, so who knows. For the fun of it, let's say he gets put down and then later that night he's revived and comes back after Homelander. Again, nothing Jason could throw at Homelander would hurt him. If you think otherwise, you don't know what you're talking about. If Jason just keeps coming back, Homelander might just pick him up and throw his ass into space and call it a day. Would he come back from that? Maybe, but he'd be in space. So yes, Homelander would survive 2009 Jason Voorhees. Alright, that's all the horror villains I have for now. Despite what people think, Homelander would actually do pretty solid in these situations, or at least I think so. Let me know if I should do a part 2 or do this with another character. Also let me know if you would change any of these and why. But that's all I've got for you guys today, so I'll see you in the next one.